Good evening, good morning, good night. We're watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins, bringing you a Australia housing weekly wrap up. I'm going to do weekly wrap ups when I feel there's enough good articles out there, good tangible articles that are related to what's going on in the housing market that are not overly, you know, overly propped up. Guys, don't forget to join me tomorrow night for tomorrow night my time trends in the housing market. I'll post the hours under our community there. Now, for the longest time, for some bizarro reason, I've had this feeling that Australia is going to be the domino effect that infects or damages the entire English speaking world in the housing sector. For years now, I've been talking about Australia being severely overpriced and too much abnormalities happening in the housing market. And then I started first with Vancouver almost 10 years ago this summer, that this is abnormal. And it's not predicting a crash, but discussing the abnormalities in the markets, propping up the markets with first-time buyer's loan, 100% loan to value, sign right here, no down payments needed, interest-only mortgages, historically low interest rates to steal our wealth, quantitative easing, all this garbage, and then fluctuating with fake job numbers and just too much propping. Our economy is not set to autopilot like it used to be. And instead of going in cycles, we keep going into propping sessions where do we need more QE? Do we need this? Do we need to lower rates even further? Well, how are you going to hedge against inflation? How are you going to hedge against other... Well, anyways, this is the Australian weekly wrap-up, guys. So this is my first article here, which is probably one of the better ones of them all. And it is 2 reasons why Australian property prices could crash this year. Australian property prices are predicted to fall this year, but there are 2 reasons they could crash harder than expected. Credit rating agency Moody's has penciled in predictions that the house prices will fall by 9.3% in Sydney and 11.4% in Melbourne, according to the AFR. However, Moody's has identified 2 key risks Australian housing prices that could cause prices to crash further than expected during 2019. The big 4 banks, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, Westpac Banking Corp, Australia New Zealand Banking Corp, blah, 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 National Australian Bank, LOT, could or may be forced to enact even tighter lending restrictions in the light of Royal Commission and the new impetus given APRA-ANASIC. Guys, remember what happened, guys, with the Royal Commission going in there. Royal Commission is like an advanced form of the of auditors that basically are scratching the surface. They just scratched the surface and they found a bunch of garbage that these banks were doing, and the amount of people that were just hooplaed and misdirected into these mortgages and to products that don't suit the customers or their clients. It's absolute garbage, and the client thinks they're getting ahead because their bank is helping them out, but no. So it's talking about dividend stocks, and we've seen already what has happened through the housing market due to lending restrictions over the past year. I believe more it has to do with the restrictions on capital flows leaving China that's been damaging all the English-speaking countries. It's happening all over Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and the United States of America. The whole west coast of America is being crippled by the lack of foreign investing that's been leaving China shores. The other main risk is Labor's negative gearing policy could hurt sentiment about property, with investors likely to be put off. One of the only reasons why investors are willing to accept annual rental cash loss was due to the mitigation effect of negative gearing. Negative gearing is basically offsetting your business or your business expenses. So how much does it how much does it cost to keep so any profits made, you negate it with a loss or expenses that go on top of any gains you could have made, so you don't pay any capital gains tax on that. Negative wealth effect. Harsher house price falls could lead to hit to household spending and rise of unemployment rates, which would be bad for the real economy. It has been unhelpful that Sydney and Melbourne house prices were set so high. It would be better for the economy if people spent less on housing and more on other products and services, but the fall out of the housing prices dropping could be worse than simply property values reducing by 10 points. So this is this year. It's already gone in some parts 13, 14, 22% in some boroughs, depending where you are in Sydney and Melbourne. And it's a tidal wave. It's a tsunami. It's a perfect storm. I've been talking about this for many, many years now. I predicted a 50%. What was it? I don't even remember what it was. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I got to bring this up again. But I got to bring it up. Why? Because I deserve to bring it up. Because it's mine. And I've been forecasting this for a long... Okay. What was it? I just saw it there. Hold on. Let me just see it here. Sydney, Vancouver housing crashed 47% by 2016. So I was many years off on this. Canada, UK, New Zealand debt prison. So I kind of screwed that one up. Supply versus demand illusion. Yeah, so I was way off with that. Because of the abnormalities in the markets, I was seeing it and I was picking up on it. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not right. Property owners risk falling into negative equity if downturn worsens. Reserve Bank. So basically, they're going to owe more for what the property is actually what they bought it for. So they're going to be owing more money on it, and that is not good. If households could cut back on spending in response to income shocks, there could be a compounding of economic weakness that will affect the financial system, the RBA said. The RBA updated warning on the housing correction comes after property prices have fallen in some parts of Sydney as much as 20% amid expectations of worse falls to come. Trade wars and other economic risks, yes, but they need to focus on this massive government propping that got involved. Big mistake. True extent of the Aussie house price collapse. Certain pundits have described how house price falls in Sydney and Melbourne as catastrophic crash that will take years to recover from. I'm thinking 8 to 14 years. I'm not exaggerating on that. I'm being very, very conservative when I say about 8 years. And 14 years would be like if it really goes right to where it belongs, where prices should be at realistic. For prices to get to realistic prices, it could take a little longer to hit the bottom, but at the rate it's falling right now, government's going to do everything with its magic tricks and its smoke and mirrors to try and keep this thing going. You know what I'm saying? Okay, property prices in Melbourne. Here it is, guys. This is property prices have more downside in Sydney and Melbourne. Oh, more's been downside. I'm thinking another 42% to go. The general consensus among economists and analysts is that price declines in Sydney and Melbourne aren't over yet. You know what it is, guys, is because I don't know how many quarters. I think it's 17 consecutive quarters of price increases in Melbourne, and I think it's 22 if I'm right, consecutive price gain quarters of artificial price gain quarters in Sydney. So there's 22 quarters in Sydney of bulk of increases, of gains. That's a lot of quarters that it's got to rewind back to reality. Because once you get the foreign money pumping in and you sell out your own citizens, guess what happens? You're going to have to migrate to Hobart and Darwin, and now prices there aren't looking too stable. Australian house prices falling at fast rate in a decade. Sydney and Melbourne properties have now dropped 11% and 7.2% respectively compared to 2017 peak. And that's when China was really moving money off its shores. There was a huge runoff of wealth on Chinese shores. You guys have no idea. House prices have fallen the most in single quarter in 2008, according to new data for December. How old is this damn thing? Oh, it's from January. Let's move on of this year. Sydney house prices fall fastest in 20 years. Housing costs have fallen 11.4% since peak, while nationally prices recorded steepest fall in 15 years. That's a beautiful photo. I want to save this picture on my desktop. Might use it for my All right, Daily Mail. Sydney and Melbourne houses prices. A plunge up to 16% in biggest national crash since the GFC, as the worst affected areas revealed. The average price of houses in Sydney in April was 880,000, down 16.1%. For Melbourne, it's 712, 14.3% below the peak of 832 in 2017. Across the nation, April prices fell 0.5% to a median of 519. Now, you're going to see the national prices trickle down very slow, only because the two big cities that are propping up this entire bubble are starting to come to reality, right? So a lot of Australians are going to wake up to reality and start realizing that the corrections in the works. And I think in Sydney, Sydney's looking at another. I said 47 or 41%. I think it was 41% I said in Sydney. And I think Melbourne's 39.9% is looking for a correction. It's just the consecutive growths, quarterly growths are just beyond what the value of the homes are. But good news is that monthly rate price decline in both cities are slowing. Dwelling prices in April 0.7% lower in Sydney and 0.6% lower in Melbourne, compared to drops of 1.8% and 1.5% in December. In the past year, home prices have fallen 10.9% in Sydney and 10% in Melbourne. So a lot of people are feeling the pinch. So here we go. Hobart's up there, of course. Australian Capital Territory, Adelaide, Adelaide West, Adelaide North. All these cities look like they're up. Like they're doing okay. Why? Because they're more affordable. Then you start going into Brisbane West, Moreton Bay South, Brisbane East, and Moreton Bay North. You start seeing declines, and you start seeing massive declines. Sydney, outer southwest, Sydney, eastern suburbs, Mandurah, I can't pronounce that, Sydney southwest, Sydney Sutherland, Melbourne outer east. The hardest hit is Melbourne inner east. Yeah, Melbourne went up way too fast because the amount of people from Sydney that mass exited to Melbourne right away during 2016 and 17 to help prop that bubble in Melbourne, you could thank the people from Sydney that fled affordability levels and then propped up the market there, and then that started flooding in with foreign investors in mid 2017, and things got severely out of hand. Perth's 4-year housing bust is nothing like what Sydney and Melbourne's property markets faced. Oh yeah. So if you guys know what happened in Perth, it was the boom, mining boom. Now it's in the pits. You get it? Mining pit mining. Anyways, I'm not funny. Slow slide versus steep plunge. And there it is. Look, wow. So look at Sydney here. It is it's fast. It's fast. In comparison, see, Perth is like 2013, things are out of control, and then we're coming for a soft landing. Here we go. No, fast landing, crash. Hold, pull back, get a little bit of air, and then back down. But look at Greater Melbourne and Sydney. Wow. Sydney figures show that prices are down 9 to 10% in 12 months alone, so it's much more significant and swift, the decline, Mr. Collins said. I'm going to save that one. That's a nice photo. I like saving these kind of photos for thumbnails for my show, for my channel. How households react to property bust. Sydney and Melbourne rapidly catching up to Perth. Slumping unit values. Oh, yes, it is. There's Greater Melbourne. There's Sydney. Just riding off the coattails there of coattails of Perth. Wow. Wow. And what property crash? Rundown home riddled with graffiti, just 3.7 meters wide, is set to fetch $1 million at auction. There you go, guys. $1 million for that. You could buy 40 acres of land. 40 acres of land with the 6-bedroom house with a pool outside of Houston for under $350,000. So I don't know why anyone in their mind would spend it's location. Why would you want to live in a city that's not really overcrowded, but everybody's like has the hate on for each other. No one has money. Everyone's pissed off. Why would you want to live in a city like that? So where it wasn't like it was 50 years ago. I would live in Sydney or Melbourne, in those cities 30, 40 years ago, not now. You know what I'm saying? I was in Vancouver. I had to get the hell out of Vancouver and move east where I live in a small town. I couldn't handle it anymore. Everyone's mad. Nobody's happy. Nobody has money. Everyone's always looking to screw someone over there. It's like Australian housing, the economic parallels with Ireland, and the risk of the housing crash. We've been covering Ireland here on the channel every week, pretty much, on trends in the housing market. It's a $7 trillion question hanging over Australia's economy, property boom and correction, or bubble and bust. For those warning of the latter, Ireland and its speculator implosion during the global financial crisis offers sultry warning of what may lie in wait down under. I am concerned it could be seeing Ireland 2.0. Remember, guys, what happened in Ireland? Here in the next 12 to 18 months, warned Martin North, the principal at Digital Finance Analytics. Mr. North caused quite a stir in recent appearances in 60 Minutes, where he discussed the possibility of 30 to 45% property price crash in Australia, although he rates as only 1 in 5 risk, with the still large 15 to 30% in best case scenario. So it was free money, so everybody became a property developer and borrowed and either built a house in their garden and invested in holiday homes, and actual rate construction was 2 times the demand. You can't say that. You cannot say that about Australia. So lots going on, guys. Let's keep going. The housing bust in Sydney and Melbourne. Oh my. But it wasn't the central bank that pricked the bubble. It's the interest rate is record low. So the lower you have rates, so this is by the big dive. Here it is, CoreLogic. Daily Home Value Index. It's right here. You could see it plain as day. Did I discuss supply versus demand myths? Let me just check my old video here, guys. Sorry, guys. I'm going to bring this up like 52 times. Only because, I've been doing this for so long. I never really got any credit for it from any of the big... Well, I mean, I guess they want to credit people that, that are better educated than myself, right? Okay, so what was this? Sydney, Vancouver, Auckland, London, massive housing correction, spring 2017. I was way off, guys. Let me see the other one. There was another one here. Hold on. Sydney, Vancouver, housing crash, 47% by 2016. I was dead wrong. Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, debt prison. Oh, yeah, oversupply coming in 2016. I was dead wrong with that. There's an oversupply now in the market, but I honestly thought... Yeah, I thought it's right there, 2016. I honestly thought it was going to be in 2016 because I didn't know what tricks the government had up its sleeves and illusions. And Sydney, Vancouver, Auckland, London, massive housing correction, spring 2017. So I already knew things weren't right. There it is, Sydney, Vancouver, Auckland. I already knew things weren't right back in the day. I knew it. But the amount of supply and demand that kept shoving down our throats was just absolutely phenomenal. The supply and every English-speaking country was doing this. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Go ahead into my channel, under my channel, and search my channel. Type in Australia, see what's left. For some reason, I have a mass purging of Australia videos. I have videos that now I've lost close to hundreds, like close to 400 videos that I've been making about Australia over so many years. They're all gone. So someone saved some of them for some reason, had them, and sent me clips that they were saving and stuff for certain headlines and stuff for something they were working on in New York State or something. I don't know. But anyways, I got some footage of some old videos which I'm going to re-upload. But I'm really concerned about why so much mass purging of my Australia videos from 3 years ago. What's the problem? It's 3 years old. What is the problem today? I have a video from 2016 saying, careful, don't buy in Sydney market looking like it's a powder keg ready to blow up. Sydney debt prison. All these Australian debt prison, and now I call it something else. It's called Australian house arrest. Because people are house poor and they're screwed. And I just don't understand why they purged so many good videos I had. I've been trying to look. Someone tried to find the video that they commented on a while back, years ago, and they just can't find it. I hope they don't take down any more of my Australia videos. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd like to know. Comment below, and if you want to support the transmission, just go ahead and share one of my videos. Thanks for watching.